Good morning. This is Lisa Christiansen, and today I'm going to do something that's just a little kind of different. I was watching a video on my friend Heather's page, and she posted this video. It had a young lady named Peggy Hubbard who actually inspired this. And as you all know, I really keep my page happy and upbeat. I figure everybody has their own drama. They don't need any more. So I keep everything very upbeat, very light. I will stand up, even if it means I stand alone for something that I do believe in, which I'm sure you may have noticed. And today, what inspired me was I was sitting here talking to David, and she was mentioning about the snowflakes, right? And I thought, oh, don't even get me going. And it's kind of odd because I have a beautiful, wonderful friend who I really love in California, and she is just such a dear friend that she's family. And I visit her page, and we have different beliefs, and that's okay because we still love each other regardless, and that's how it should be. And she was telling me how things are getting in California, and I don't watch the news because it's all negative, and I know enough people in my life that actually watch the news, and so if there's anything I really need to know, they're gonna tell me. So I figure I don't have to do that. But today, oddly enough, I decided to kind of scroll through and look at the different things that I was seeing online, and I'm seeing riots in California, I'm seeing people burning flags, and I'm seeing people protesting, and I'm talking about both sides. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm talking about the Trump supporters and the Hillary supporters. And I've seen the Hillary supporters make attacks, and then I've seen so much that I can't keep quiet. I sit there, and this woman is talking about, I didn't know this. Okay, so I gotta thank you, Peggy Hubbard. I didn't know this. Apparently, kids aren't going to class because Hillary didn't win. You're kidding me, okay? She mentioned how her daughter was old enough when the Twin Towers fell, and let me visit that for a brief moment. The day that 9/11 happened, my daughter was going to the Christian Academy in Oklahoma City, and that's where she was going to school at. And we were driving to school, and the news mentioned that one of the towers, a plane had just ran into one of the towers. And I'm not joking. I thought it was a joke. And I was like, really? They can't come up with one better than that? Really? And then the news came across again, and the guy said, I know a lot of people think that this is a joke. It's not. Another plane just hit the second Twin Tower, so on, so on, so on. And then the school called, and we were just pulling into the driveway, and they had mentioned that any parents who didn't want their kids going to school that day could take their children home. And I thought, I was so scared. And I am not afraid of much of anything. I was actually scared to leave her at school that day. And I asked her, it's up to you. And she said, where did that happen? And I told her it was in New York, and she said, Now, me mind you, she was maybe 6 or 7 at the time, and she had traveled quite extensively already at that point, so she had a pretty good grip on where New York was. And she said, I'll just go to school today. And wow, I hesitantly let her go. And I picked her up early, just because I was so concerned. And I brought her home, and we were watching the news, mostly because, well, we weren't watching the news. I should say that better. David was watching the news, and so she saw this, and she was watching everything that was going on in New York. They were replaying it over and over and over. I mean, it was just unfathomable. I still can't wrap my head around it. When I think about it, even today, I cannot even get my head to wrap around the concept that somebody would just fly into a twin tower, or anything for that matter. I just don't get it. And she stood there, sat there, and she kept peeking in at the news and kept looking at it. And she saw all of the tragedy that was going on. And she is such an amazing child. She said, "Mama, we just need to pray for them." And I said, "Oh, baby, don't I know?" And now, keeping in mind, I thought she meant we needed to pray for the people falling and jumping and the people that were affected. And I said, "Oh, baby, I know." And she said, "Yeah, I mean, we need to pray for the attackers. We need to pray that God forgives them." Out of the mouths of babes. And she is so strong. And I know that I kind of ventured down a bunny trail. My friend Heather calls it squirrel when I get sidetracked on something. I promise you I'm getting to a point with that. So my daughter, when that happened, I told her, "Yes, you're right, we do. We need to pray for them. We need to pray forgiveness. You know, that is true. And that's what we'll do." And we did. And she went to school the next day, and so on and so on and so on. And I am going to take 2 seconds to brag. That kid, neither one of my children, have ever asked me to help them pay for anything. When they were teenagers, they would say, "What can I do around the house to earn some money?" They never said, "Hey, Mom, can I have $50? Hey, Mom, can I have $20? Hey, Mom, can I have $10? It was always, "What can I do to earn a little bit of money? I need to pick up a pair of jeans. I really saw these ones I like." You know, you do not have to set the rule if you set the example. My oldest daughter pays for her own college tuition. She works 2 jobs to do it, and she has a 1-year-old son. My youngest daughter lives in Colorado, very self-sufficient, very responsible, and has a 2-year-old daughter. My point to that, though, is really that they are responsible, and they don't need a safe zone, and they don't get easily offended, and they're very strong, productive individuals. And so I'm excited that I saw this video that this young lady had posted, because it is so true. And it even carries over into the generation that's working right now, because I have several friends that have jobs doing, you know, fill in the blank. They have I know one that works customer service. I know one that, you know, works at Walmart. And I am not kidding when I tell you that the stories that I hear, I heard this one story where a gentleman had told me that his supervisor had called him and said, "You need to call so-and-so and congratulate them for showing up for work 3 days in a row." Are you serious? Really? And he makes the joke and says, "Am I supposed to congratulate them for wiping after they go to the bathroom?" Because that's the kind of common sense that's making, which is 0. And I would totally agree with that, because, you know, I can't even fathom that. I can't even imagine that. And this young lady that posted the video today that I saw that inspired me to do this one reminded me that I remember when I had the girls and, you know, we were struggling, times were tough, and I remember there were months and we actually gave the game a name. And so we would have a beat the check to the bank game. And if you don't know what that is, it means, well, now it's a little different because I think they go right through. Back in the day, it's kind of dating me there a little bit. Back in the day, you could actually write a check and you could actually count it down, and you had about 4 days from the time that it went from that bank in the mail to the next bank to cash out, and then back to your bank. And it wasn't electronic, it was all by mail. So you had about 4 days to get money in the bank. And so we would play the beat the check to the bank game. The other thing that we used to do is it was great. I don't mean that in a good way, I mean that in an ironic way. We used to do this other thing where it was like, we didn't know if the rent was gonna get paid this month or next month, you know, and we would kind of shuffle the bills around and go, okay, well, I can pay this, this, and that, and then we'll have to wait on these items, and then next month, you know, we'll go ahead and hold off on these items and pay this, this, and that. And we would literally have to bounce back and forth and balance our money. My daughter and I even lived in a car for a few months until we got things all figured out. And I think it really built a lot of character. And if you go into the archive of my YouTube, you'll actually see my daughter talking about that. And I gotta tell you, it was amazing for me to experience seeing that video that my daughter did, because she makes a comment in there that just brought tears to my eyes. She said, the best time in my childhood was when we lived in the car because I had my mom all to myself. It just brought tears to my eyes and it warmed my heart in a way that I cannot even express. And those are the foundations of building productive adults in our children. And I totally, absolutely agree with the women who made the video that said our children shouldn't need a safe zone because they're offended by something. Now, I think that it's awful. I mean, I don't even have a word for the feeling that I have for the people that I see burning flags and protesting. And I saw a picture of a gentleman that literally had been beaten so badly because he was gay, and it's wrong. I mean, if you don't believe it, don't look. If you don't agree, agree to disagree. Be an adult. Stop acting like a 10-year-old. Stop acting like a little 10-year-old, a spoiled brat that, oh, I'm offended, so I'm gonna go cry in the corner and tell the teacher. This is not how we want to raise our future generations. And I usually do not go on these rants. I just couldn't help myself, because when I saw her video, it really hit home because of the fact that she did make that comment about how she was paying for her daughter's tuition, and she said if my daughter skipped class, I would go straight to that college, and I'd be kicking her tail right back into class. And I agree with her. If I was paying for the college of my daughter and she wasn't going to class because she was offended and got her feelings hurt, are you kidding me? I'd be on the first plane to Chicago telling her there is no way you're wasting $36,000 of my money. You are going to get your ass in class. And it's just not even right on so many levels to be so offended that you can't function in society, because she is right about this too. If you can't handle that, then wow, you are in for a real surprise when you get out in the real world, because there are so many things that are going to come at you so fast, and you've got to deal with them on a real world level. And so I'm not going to say that this person's right or that person's right, because everybody seems to be acting out. It doesn't matter if they've supported Hillary or supported Trump. They're all deciding all of a sudden, let's just act out on each other. And it's not right. It isn't. Grow up, accept who it is that's the president. And I'm not just saying that because I voted Donald Trump, and I did vote for Donald Trump. I voted for him because I am so over the political correctness. I am Native American, and people always feel like they have to be on eggshells and say Native American. No, I grew up, my aunt actually received a phone call one day, and her response on the phone was so funny. I don't think I ever laughed so hard in my life. The woman never, ever, ever cussed. And somebody upset her cookie cart just the right way. And she said, well, I guess I'm just a dumb old Indian, so piss on you. I still get a crack up out of that one because it was just so not like her. But my point to that story is, you can call me an Indian, you can call me a Native American, and guess what? I'm not going to be offended, and I don't need a safe zone, and I don't need a comfort dog because I've had my feelings hurt. So I think that if the people that we're raising are turning into that generation, then it's not their fault, it's our fault that we're raising that generation. So this message is really about take responsibility as an adult. Stop being so coddled in your own mind because of the way that you grew up as a child. And if you're a parent and you have one of those, then it's time for a self-inventory and help them get to where they need to be. It's not your fault that they ended up that way. It just means that your job isn't finished, and you need to get them to that place where they can finally become productive and accept, and to be able to have a strong emotional constitution and be able to deal with whatever life hands them. I gotta tell you, I've started over more times than I care to count. Don't like it, didn't want to do it as many times as I did, but I did, and you know what? I'm still here, and it's great. My daughters learned valuable lessons from it. They're very strong, they're resilient, and they have such amazing emotional constitutions. And I'm not just saying that because they're my children. I am proud of them, even if I didn't know them. And this is Lisa Christiansen. Sorry for the rant, but not so sorry. Really hope you take this message to heart, and let's come together as a nation, one nation under God. Let's come together and make this country great again. Let's make America great again, and let's make Donald Trump proud, and let's make Hillary proud. I mean, this isn't just about Donald Trump. This is about Hillary. It's about let's make everyone proud, because everybody needs to join together, come together, and unite as one if we intend to do anything great with this country to make God proud. Because in the end, God's the only one that matters. God's the only one that counts.